when you have more women in the workforce, there is very clear evidence that you become a much more innovative organization. Yeah, they think differently, they bring different skills to the table.
They disrupt differently.
Absolutely. And there is also very clear evidence that the performance of the company, where you have much more diverse leadership team, it's much better than those companies who aren't diverse.
Thank you very much for your time to have this conversation. I wanted to start by saying a huge congratulations for being awarded the prestigious UN Women He for She pin at the Bloomberg Equality Award recently in Mumbai. So tell us a little bit about that, Sanjiv. What does that mean to you personally, and where in your leadership journey does something like this come and fit?
Yeah. It's, first as Unilever, we would like to be known as one of the most diverse and inclusive organizations. And the reason why I love working for Unilever is because my personal values are aligned with the organizational values. And I believe that over centuries, we have done injustice to women. And never really allowed them to play the full part in the society and kept them subjugated. And it's time that gets corrected across the world. And I'm blessed because I come from a family where women have been supported. My grandmother, who passed away about a little over 10 years back, when she was close to 100, she was a matriculate.
Right, wow.
So you can imagine in those days, when women hardly studied, she was a matriculate and a very aware person. When I started working, she would sit with me and ask me about my work. What do I do? What does the company do? What are the beliefs? And my memories about her was that whenever she used to come to Mumbai to stay with us, which she would do every year for a few months, the nighttime stories of history and politics.
Right.
That's how we learned. How India got its independence, Ramayana, Mahabharata, the Sikh history, the Mughal history. She knew everything with facts and figures. So coming from that background, and also I'm married to an amazing lady, Mona. She's a chartered accountant by training. And we have twin daughters.
Right.
So you can see how I'm surrounded by women.
Yeah, you're lucky.
And why? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the reason I say blessed.
Yeah.
And why we were so keen that we have to create an environment where our daughters, they are able to do whatever they seek to do, and we create an enabling environment where they really blossom. One of the reasons why we did not have a third kid, because Mona was absolutely clear. She said, I don't want our daughters to ever feel that we had a third kid because we were looking for a male child.
Oh my God, right.
So that's the kind of background I come from.
Yeah, it's a very deep commitment towards
Absolutely.
equality. Yeah.
So when I came here in 2013, I was absolutely clear that we have to move towards an organization where we soon become gender balanced.
Because you've got 40%.
Yes, and in 2010, we were 18%.
Right, right.
So 18% to 40%
Yeah.
in about 9 years'
9 years,
time
that's right. Yeah.
is a fabulous journey.
So how did you do this? I mean, one of the having had the chance to meet you now and hear your the deep impact of personal stories like your grandmother and your commitment towards the family side, I now realize where it comes from at a personal level. But how do you translate that at an organization level? Sanjiv, you said creating an enabling environment is your deep commitment. How do you do it? It's so hard to do.
No, it's never easy. Yeah, any big change is never easy. So, but first and foremost, I think that's the philosophy of the company I work for, Unilever. I have been in the global diversity board now for the last 6 years. Even before this job, coming to India, I used to chair Unilever's North Africa Middle East business.
Right.
And one of the places where it is extremely difficult to get women to work is Saudi Arabia. So in 2008, when I took over as the chair, we had 2 women working in our Saudi office. By the time I left, it was close to 45 women.
Unbelievable.
So if in a place like Saudi Arabia we can make a difference,
you have no excuse not to do it.
there's no reason why we cannot do it in India.
What is it? I mean, help us understand. What are the 1 or 2 things that you'll do that make you be able to do it on the ground, not just say that you do it?
First, very important. That for any big change, you have to not only reach from a cerebral perspective, but also from an emotional perspective. Yeah. As far as the cerebral perspective is concerned, it's a very strong business case. Now, we are a company which is into fast-moving consumer goods, which is daily essentials. And a large portion of our consumers, our shoppers, are women. Right? So if our consumers are women, our managerial workforce should also represent the consumer base. That's one. Second is, when you have more women in the workforce, there is very clear evidence that you become a much more innovative organization. Yeah, they think differently, they bring different skills to the table.
They disrupt differently.
Absolutely. And there is also very clear evidence that the performance of the company, where you have much more diverse leadership team, it's much better than those companies who aren't diverse. So it's a very strong business case. Yeah. Second is, look at it from a social perspective, or look at it first from a macroeconomic perspective. McKinsey did a study that if India was to increase the women's participation in the workforce, not to the best in class, but to the best in the developing world, the improvement, then we could impact our GDP by 100 to 150 pips every year.
Significant.
It's absolutely significant. So from the lens of the company, from the lens of the country, then from my own conviction that we need to correct the wrong. And one of our daughters studied at MIT, and there can't be a more tech place
That's true.
than MIT. And when she graduated, class of 2015, women were close to 50% in MIT. And if you look at US today, and PhD students, nearly 60 to 65% are PhD students. And today you look at any results, any discipline, you will find a large number of toppers being women. So why should we not recruit?
Why should that not be represented at the organization level?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So first is conviction,
Yeah.
which coming from believing, both from a mind space and a heart space, that's the right thing to be done. Then, you need, we are an organization which is analytical, data driven, performance oriented, like any other business metric. You need to start tracking the different aspects. Yeah.
Because you want the evidence to be able to make the case.
And not only,
case.
you need to create an environment where from today, which is a pyramid, it becomes a pipe.
Yeah. Yeah.
At every level, there are women in the organization who get ample opportunities to progress and make a difference, and they can pursue it with passion. And then you also have to create an environment where they can blossom, both the hardware and the software, right? You need to have the right kind of maternity leave.
I was about to ask, what are some of the things you've done that?
So those are, let me, rather than telling you what are a series of things we have done to attract women, because I'm very clear, we want to be the most attractive place for women to come and work. When I came in here, we found out that a lot of women who were leaving around 2 points. One, when they were getting married, and second, when they were having baby, right? And that's a conventional thinking. Okay, so then I asked my team, go back and find out that women who have left us, what are they doing? So they went back and they found out that a lot of women who had babies and ostensibly had stopped working had got back to work. So then I said, let's reach out to them and find out why had they left us and why had they started working again. So what came out was that when they would come back from the maternity leave, their bosses would give them soft work, not challenging assignment.
Right.
And these were ambitious women. They were here to make careers. They were not here just to come and bite their time. So then we decided we're not going to lose any mothers.
Right.
So whenever a lady would go on a mat leave, I would meet her. As an organization, we would track her, keep in touch with her when she was on mat leave, and when she would come back, we would ensure that she would get challenging assignments like any others.
It's like creating that psychological safety.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that people's confidence doesn't get undermined and you get the true value out of an individual.
So you have to, now for instance, if we look at Unilever, and if we scan the environment, we have found out that as far as the general managers are concerned, those are the people who head the organization in different countries. We are not well balanced.
Right.
So in 2020, I've taken upon myself that I'm going to mentor about 5 promising women from across the world.
Across the world? Wow. Okay.
And I want to groom them as general managers.
Okay.
So it comes from massive amount of Unilever's commitment to the cause.
And your own
My
personal
own
aligning
commitment.
with that.
Absolutely.
So can I pick up on something you talked about? If you can do it in a place like Saudi Arabia, there's no reason not to do it elsewhere. Talk a little bit about your experience of Asia. You've had fabulous, you've been in Bangladesh, you've been in Philippines, you've obviously been in India, you head up South Asia. What are some of the challenges of being a leader who's driven by these kind of values and commitments to make real change happen, to put diversity and inclusion at the heart of their leadership in Asia? Because I think we all know Asia is not a monolith, it's got its nuances and challenges.
Let me take 2 extremes. If you take some countries in Southeast Asia, say take Philippines. where I worked as a chair in 2007 and 8, there used to be meetings where there were no men, only women.
Right.
Yeah? And if you go to the trade, most of the grocery stores were run by women.
I recognize that from my time there. Absolutely.
Yeah? So they are called as sari stores.
Yeah.
They're run by women.
Yeah.
So it's a very different environment over there. And then you go to Saudi Arabia, where women had to take the permission of their husband or their parents, even to travel outside the country, a written permission. Yeah. So the contexts are very different. And one has to appreciate the history and the cultural nuance. And I never sit on judgment, but we always ask ourselves that, okay, if this is the context, what do we need to do the changes? So when we started, for instance, in Saudi Arabia to increase the number of women working in our company, and we found out this restrictive covenant that first they need permissions, and second, the husbands, the in-laws, they would not be happy if their daughter or their daughter-in-law working for an international company has to travel to Dubai on business and all. So we said, okay, if that be the situation, we would be willing to pay the airfare for the chaperone.
Right, okay. Because you were able to establish that could be an enabling.
Absolutely. So send the mother-in-law who wants to come on, we'll pay for it. And we create that environment.
And that worked?
Oh, it works so brilliantly. You know, there was a law in Saudi Arabia that you have to keep the physical office separate for women. So that men and women cannot intermingle. We created an environment where the women would not sit in the separated office.
Right.
They said, we still had to create that because if any day the inspection takes place.
You've at least got it.
So we've got it, but the women were clear. We had created such a safe environment, such a nice environment.
Crossing that boundary was not an issue.
So there are physical infrastructure issues.
Lovely story.
But I think more important is changing the mindsets. It's the behavior change. It's making men accept that women are as good as them. And to make women understand that you should be yourself. Don't try to ape a man. So there are many things which have to work in tandem if you have to create an environment on a sustained basis. You know, each one of us comes with a baggage, with preconceived notions, and that is the reason you try to unstereotype, remove the myths,
and find out what is it deep inside that's causing it. It's not just
you know, we still get many times anonymous letters from people who are saying, why are you favoring women? They forget the historical aspect of it. And the other thing, we're never defensive about it when we get these kind of letters. Because even when we recruit women, we never ever try to create a scenario where we cut back on meritocracy.
Doing it for the right reason.
Absolutely. So we will recruit women who are as good, if not better than men, who are competing for that same job.
So that even in their minds, they're not feeling undermined in any way.
Absolutely.
They're there for the right reason.
And a woman also who joins our organization, she would also be wanting to feel that we have recruited her not because of her gender, but because of her skills, her capabilities, her competencies, based on merit.
Absolutely. Sanjiv, what comes out so clearly from the conversation we are having now, and I've been trying to jump in with this question, is this whole thing about purpose. Your approach to even driving change around an issue like gender, putting it at the heart of your inclusion agenda, is there's so much anchoring around purpose.
Sure.
I recognize it, having had conversations with Paul, and having had the benefit of working with so many people at Unilever at different levels. How has that been one of your anchor points,
Sure.
Personally? Because I know it's a big one in Unilever.
Oh, absolutely.
And how have you made it a big part of your leadership?
First and foremost, I think we have to accept that we have been very lucky. First, we were born to families where we were. And in a developing country like India, just a roll of dice, and we could have been on the other side of the road.
It's true.
Right? So deep realization that God has been very kind to us. Second is, your purpose in life stems from also the values that you imbibe from the people around you.
Yeah.
Your upbringing, your parents. And my parents were immigrants from what is now called as Pakistan, when the partition of India took place. So they had to rebuild their lives in India. As any immigrant, it's never very easy. And they imbibed in us several values. About hard work, about a deep realization that we are fortunate and we need to make a difference to the context, help others, do good for your country. So all those values, they came in from our parents. And here, again, working for an amazing company like Unilever, which has always been purpose-driven and values-led. And in Unilever, we have three fundamental beliefs. The beliefs are that companies with purpose last, brands with purpose grow, and people with purpose thrive.
Right. So companies, brands, people. Okay. Okay.
So, for instance, if you look at all our big brands, they have a point of view. And it's not just about the functional benefits, but they have a role to play in making our world a better place. And that's how we build our brands. And as a corporation, we're acutely conscious that we have a role to play in the society. And also it stems from a belief that if we look after the interest of our consumers, our customers, our employees, other stakeholders, the community at large, the shareholder value gets created.
So it's across the value chain that,
And so we don't start with that our mission is to create shareholder value. Our mission is to make sustainable living commonplace. So it is very deeply ingrained into Unilever.
You talked about, I recognize a lot of what you said, having grown up with a lot of Unilever brands, it's a strong memory of childhood, but also you realize the values that underpin some of that. You talked about some of the things that are deeply ingrained in how Unilever approaches even doing business. As a global leader for global enterprise, how do you reconcile those fundamental values of a global business at a local and regional level?
I'm glad you asked this question.
I personally, and I'm bringing up a bit of me in this conversation because I'm recognizing a lot of what you're saying as being very important, but I also realize how hard it is to do that.
Sure.
Because you want to make an organization thrive and people thrive for the global, but you also want to be true to the local. How do you do it?
For instance, we have both a mix of global brands and local brands. So when it comes to a global brand, the purpose is consistent. It's not that the purpose of Dove will be different in the US and it will be something else in India. No. The purpose is consistent, but how you bring it to life manifests itself in different ways. Yeah. And for instance, let's take up a brand like Brook Bond.
Yeah.
When Thomas Brook created this brand over 100 years back, his idea was, how do you bring people together over a great cup of tea?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we still in India live this purpose. And if you see our communication, it is about bridging the differences, bringing people together, whether it is Hindu-Muslim, whether it is live-in relationships, whether it is transgender. Yeah, so we pick up these causes and that's how we bring it to life.
So you pick and choose the issues that matter at a local level.
Absolutely.
And then drive that purpose.
Let me take another link, the purpose
Yeah.
and the issue of diversity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we are talking about a pursuit, and I'm so glad that even Prime Minister Modi has been pursuing this agenda of women's empowerment, girls' education. These are all issues very dear to him. Now, if you look at rural India, and rural India is still where 2/3 of the Indians stay, in many parts of rural India, for women, there are no opportunities to work except as farm hands. Right? So, at the beginning of this millennium, HUL started a project called Project Shakti. And Shakti is about empowering the women in deep rural area and by making them micro entrepreneurs. Setting up an ecosystem so that she could buy and sell, get empowered, and lead a life of dignity. And all of us know when you empower a woman, you empower a family.
Yeah, and the independence. And
So today we have got 120,000 Shakti Ammas.
Okay.
Yeah. Now this is not pure altruism
Yeah.
because they also distribute our products.
Yeah. Yeah.
And today our sales coming out of this channel
So it's a channel, yeah.
is more than $400 million.
But you didn't start with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We started with
Yeah.
an idea
Yeah.
of empowering the
Yeah.
women.
So it's purpose at the heart.
But to make it sustainable,
Yeah.
it has to be linked to the business.
Yeah.
Otherwise it becomes charity.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is the difference. You know, we have been sitting and talking about for the last several minutes. You would have never seen me use the word corporate social responsibility.
No, I'm very conscious that you haven't.
I don't.
Absolutely. Yeah. Why
Because-
don't you?
Because whatever we do
Yeah.
is integrated into the business.
Yeah.
A CSR is an appendage.
Yeah.
You do something over and above.
Yeah.
For us,
Yeah.
this is integral to the way we run our business.
The way I'm understanding it, Sanjiv, it's about making something bloodstream
Yeah.
to making something bolt on. Yours is absolutely bloodstream.
Absolutely.
The approach.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. You've been talking a lot about the how, and it makes me just think about it's so hard, and you're making it sound so easy in a way. I know it's so hard because I know, especially in the context in which you're trying to do some of this, is not easy. It's got layers of complexity. In the past, I've heard you talk about things like practices, some of the practices that you personally have adopted and also adopted at an organization level. You talked about agility as being one of them. Fascinating concept. And sometimes agility is associated very strongly with technology, which is often the enabler that helps agility happen. How do you look at agility as a practice and put that at the heart of making change happen?
See, we are a big company, but I also believe that the concept that you're too big to fail doesn't apply.
Okay.
And in today's world, it is not about the big beating the small, It is the fast and nimble beating the slow. Yeah. And in a fast changing world, it is extremely difficult for you to predict the changes. There will be some changes which you can predict, some you can foresee, but there will be many changes where you will be caught off guard. And the only way to respond is to have an organization which is agile, which can move with speed, and you're not stuck like a big, very large crude carrier in the ocean, which takes a huge amount of time to turn around. And that is the reason why agility is extremely important. And the good bit about agility is you can't have an agile organization if you don't empower your people. And if you empower your people, you get the best out of them. So these are all changes which are interlinked. They're not in isolation. If you want to survive in a fast-paced world, in a fast-changing world, then you need to create an organization which can change and moves. And let's also accept that howsoever good you may be, you would very often stumble and fall. And you will also stumble and fall when you are ambitious, which also indicates that you're stretching yourself. If you never fail, that means you aren't stretching yourself.
You're too comfortable.
You're too comfortable.
You're going for safety.
Absolutely. Now, there's no harm in failing. So long as you can stand up and start running again. So that brings you to resilience. So in today's organization, you need to have agility, you have to be nimble, you have to be resilient. And that's how you would become an enduring corporation.
Thank you so much for that, Sanjiv. It was hugely inspiring, massive insights. But you brought things that keep people awake at night. Big concepts: leadership, diversity, inclusion, purpose, agility, into something that's doable if you've got the right intention and you've got the heart absolutely in the middle of it.
I'm glad I enjoyed my conversation with you.
And thank you so much for the support that you have given Common Purpose, and personally hugely valued it. Never had a chance to say thank you to you in person. And also from Unilever, we really appreciate the partnership with Unilever at every level.